Remember when sequels used to come faster than Call of Duty skins? Ocarina of Time came out in 1998. Majora's Mask came out 2 years later. Halo 2 released in 2004. Halo 3 arrived in 2007. Naughty Dog released Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 in only 4 years. Today, The Elder Scrolls 6 was just announced in 2018. Kingdom Hearts 4 was announced in 2022. Intergalactic was announced in 2024. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if my future grandchild end up reviewing some of these games before I get the chance.
So, what happened? Why do AAA games take 6, 8, 7, or even 10 years to make? And more importantly, can the industry even survive like this?
The lazy answer? Developers don't work as hard anymore.
That's nonsense. If anything, developers today work harder than ever. The real answer is much less exciting.
Games have become gigantic. Back in the PS2 era, a studio might have 40 or 50 people. Today, some projects involve hundreds of developers, outsourcing studios, motion capture teams, voice actors, cinematic departments, and online infrastructure teams across multiple countries.
Making a AAA game today isn't like making a movie. It's like building a city simultaneously while directing a movie inside that city.
Jason Schreier recently made an interesting point. When a movie needs a tree in the background, they film a tree. When a video game needs a tree, someone has to model the tree, texture the tree, animate the tree, light the tree, optimize the tree, make sure the tree doesn't crash the game, and then spend 3 weeks fixing a bug where the tree somehow launches players into orbit, because apparently that's a thing. Every object matters, every room matters, every piece of trash lying on the floor matters.
The more realistic games become, the more work everything requires.
Schreier shared another example I love. Back in the Super Nintendo era, Final Fantasy IV had an emotional scene where 2 characters sacrificed themselves. A handful of developers probably created that moment. Today, the same scene will require concept artists, character artists, animators, rigging specialists, writers, voice actors, sound designers, composers, lighting artists, VFX artists, technical artists, and QI testers. And that's before someone spent 6 months arguing about where the character hair should move slightly more realistically.
What used to take 5 people can now take 50, maybe more.
You'd think bigger things will mean faster development. Not necessarily. Skyrim was developed around 100 people. Starfield reportedly involved several hundred developers spread across multiple studios.
And somehow it still took over a decade.
Because every time a team doubles in size, communication becomes harder. More meetings, more approvals, more emails, more Slack messages, more people saying, "Quick question!"
Which is usually never a quick question. Now let's talk about money. Lots of money.
Some AAA games now cost hundreds of millions of dollars. At this point, certain game budgets look less like entertainment projects and more like the GPD of a small nation.
And that's when things become dangerous.
Because if your game costs 300 million, selling pretty well isn't enough. You need a phenomenon. You need GTA, a Fortnite, an Elden Ring, something that dominates the internet. And then publishers made things even worse, because making giant games apparently wasn't stressful enough. Everyone wanted their own Fortnite, their own Roblox, their own forever game. Some companies succeeded, many did not. Conquer, Suicide Squad, several cancelled projects we probably never hear about, and now Marathon.
Imagine waiting years for your favorite studio to make a new game, only to discover half that time was spent chasing trends.
That's like waiting 7 years for a pizza and receiving a salad. Nobody wins.
Another reason people often forget.
A lot of the games we're waiting for today were being developed right in the middle of the pandemic. Entire studios suddenly had to figure out remote work, online collaboration, technical pipelines, motion capture limitations, while simultaneously dealing with real life.
Some studios adapted quickly, others lost years, and we're still feeling those consequences today. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. Sometimes the problem is in technology, sometimes the problem is management.
A project starts as one thing, then somebody else changes their mind, then an executive reads a market report, then suddenly, what if we make a live service game?
We've got to have money.
3 years disappeared, gone, reduced to atoms. Game development is full of stories where entire features, entire systems, sometimes entire games get thrown away halfway through production.
And every time that happens, the clock starts over.
Nothing illustrates this better than Elder Scrolls 6.
Hey, who left this bowl of onions here?
Announced in 2018, still not here, that teaser trailer is now old enough to be in elementary school. We spend more time waiting for Elder Scrolls 6 than Bethesda spent making Skyrim.
And somehow that's become normal. Not shocking, normal. That's the scary part. But here's where things get interesting. Because maybe the problem is in AAA games. Let's look at Silksong.
Small team, no billion-dollar publisher, no massive marketing campaign, no army of executives, and yet 7 years. Even a relatively small studio needs 7 years to finish a 2D Metroidvania. Maybe game development is simply harder than most of us realize.
Maybe greatness genuinely takes time. That's the uncomfortable answer. But it might also be the truth.
The real problem isn't great games take 7 years. The real problem is that 7 years is becoming the standard. Every sequel, every franchise, every AAA release, everything. Because eventually the math stops working. Developers don't want to spend a decade making one game. Publishers don't want to wait a decade for revenue. Players don't want to age visibly between sequels. Something has to give.
Now, don't get me wrong.
I'm excited for Wolverine. I'm excited for The Witcher 4. I'm excited for Elder Scrolls 6.
Would you get out of here?
But somewhere along the way, waiting 3 years became 5. 5 years became 7. 7 became 10. And now we're entering a future where some sequels take so long that they start feeling like archaeological discoveries. Maybe this is just the future of gaming. Or maybe we're watching a bubble that eventually has to burst. Either way.
So, next time someone asks why AAA games take forever now, the answer is in laziness.
It's complexity, it's ambition, it's management, it's money, it's COVID, it's trends, it's everything. At this point, I'm less worried about whether Intergalactic will be good. I'm worried I'll be retired by the time it comes out.
So tell me, what's the game you've been waiting for the longest? Silksong? Wolverine? Elder Scrolls 6? Maybe Half-Life 3? If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribe, share, like, and comment. That helps me a lot. See ya!